Welcome, everyone. If you're into true crime, but you like to cut past all the fluff, the sensationalism, you are in the right place. I'm glad you found us. My name is Gavin, and tonight we're continuing to talk about, I'm not going to say our coverage of, because tonight is a little different than what I would normally do. We're going to talk about the Madeline Soto case. Maddie was a 13-year-old little girl in Florida. Arrange myself in the right spot here. She had just turned 13 years old. Maddie did not show up for school on February 26th, 2024, though her mother's on-again, off-again boyfriend, a man named Stephen Stearns, told everybody, including police, that he had dropped her off that morning when her mother, Jen Soto, went to pick her up that afternoon. The story goes, Maddie was nowhere to be found. She was later reported missing. Now, in the early days of the investigation, Mr. Stearns was found to have CSAM material on his phone. It was basically on his Google Drive that depicted images and video depicting his abuse of Madeline, his on-again, off-again girlfriend's daughter, 13 years old. And it gets worse than that, guys. It goes all the way back to about when she was 8 years old that we know of, at least. Okay. Now, the main question that I've been getting on this case since I've been covering it is, Gavin, do you think that Jen will ever be charged? And I continue to, I continue to say, yes, I believe that Jen Soto will be charged one of these days. But I've been asking myself, what will she be charged with? So tonight, rather than diving into documents on the case, and there are many that I still haven't gotten through organizing and reading and understanding all the documents that were in the latest dump, rather than do that, which is what my kind of normal thing is here on YouTube, I want to talk about, if Jennifer Soto were to be charged, what would she be charged with? And in order to do that, we really need to speculate, right? This is like pure and unadulterated speculation. I typically try to stick to the facts, but tonight what I am planning to do is talk to you as if Jennifer Soto is guilty of something. I want to start out as saying, though, like, the police haven't charged her with anything. We have seen reports, we have read reports, we have seen videos of her interrogation or questioning, and it does appear that police are suspicious of her. We also know that police gave her what's called derivative use immunity in this in their prosecution of Mr. Stearns, but she has not been charged with anything. And there's no indication in any report that I have read that charges are forthcoming anytime soon. So I just want to put that out there. The other thing I want you guys to know, something that I should, I guess, remind you of. I say this all the time. I have got no special skills on this. I'm not a lawyer. I am not a trained investigator. I'm not a detective. I am not a prosecutor, a defense lawyer. I'm not a paralegal, right? I don't work as a secretary in a police department. I have no bona fides here. I have no training. So this is just reporter Gavin starting to ask myself questions of, if Jennifer Soto were to be charged with something in her daughter's disappearance and death, what would it be? Now, before I get into what I think, let's see, what I should just remind you of is what is on the screen down below. You can get my attention by putting GF in your comment. That helps me to see your comment on my end. And I like to respond to comments on my live streams if you guys are new here. And 70% of people who view my videos are not subscribers. Many of those are return visitors, but so I have to treat this as if you are brand new. And So that's what I'm doing. So put GF in your comment if you want me to see your comment, maybe read it aloud and show it on the screen. For example, here is one from Dava Stevenson. Gavin, I think Stephen Stearns was looking for sevoflurane to do a DIY abortion on Maddie. Ooh, man, that is dark. That gives me the chills. I don't know. I have no idea why he searched for that. I think that is in the realm of possibility. But that is what I like to do here on the channel. I like to read your comments. So go ahead and put GF in your comment if you would like me to see it. Okay. Oh, one other quick thing. I think I brought it up here. Yeah, Jamie. Bring this up here. Guys, Mooney has joined our merry band of moderators here on the channel. Mooney is one of our OGs. She has been supporting me for a long time, and I am so grateful that she accepted Jamie's invitation to be a moderator here on the channel. I love you, Mooney, not Moody. I love you, Mooney. I'm really grateful that you are doing that for us. Thank you for being our moderator. Okay, here's what I'm going to start with, okay? We're going to bring up Jen. Oh, did I say, when you put GF in your comment, tell me what you think Jen Soto might be charged with if charges ever came. And let me just go through some of these real quick and see what we can find. If anybody has brought anything in there. Oh, good evening from Alberta. Okay. Figueros 01, Gavin, along with child endangerment and neglect, maybe co-author, cooperator. Good. Kathleen says neglect. Monica says thanks for the distraction. Well, you are very welcome. Man, that really, it's skipping around on me, guys. It's skipping around. I wish it wouldn't do that. All right, we're almost back to where I was. There we go. Sharon's joining us from Lancashire. Let's see. Yeah, there's no way. Being a mother, there's no way Jennifer Soto didn't know what was going on. That's kind of how I feel too. Diane says, Gavin, so many different things under Florida law, like first of all, child neglect. Just saying. All right. Those are all good comments. Let's see what else we have down here. Gavin, please don't leave her face up there too long, please. Let's just bring Maddie up here. We do like to be victim focused. Gavin, if only Florida had a specific law against parenting while intoxicated. Yeah, that would be interesting. Gavin, you should do a poll. I need to learn how to do a poll, guys. I don't know how to do a poll. That's yeah, Katie, child neglect or negligence, Vamplifier, criminal negligence, child endangerment, complicity. Looks like we got accessory to murder. Let's see, child endangerment enabling, child abuse resulting in death, child endangerment, child abuse. Yeah, you guys have got all the right ideas. I have prepared a little PDF because that's who I am, okay? And you guys are all on the same page with me. Let me come over here. These are the 5 potential charges that I feel are probably warranted. And what I did is I went to the different, well, they're Florida statutes to see what statutes actually exist. And I have listed these in order. I've sorted them in order from least serious to most serious. And this is just my opinion. Okay. Jen has not been charged with anything. This is only my opinion. We're only speculating here. I want to make that very clear. Okay. The first thing that I think that she might be charged with is failure to report child abuse. I think that the evidence shows child abuse. on the part of Mr. Stearns. I think it's very clear that Mr. Stearns was abusing Madeline, but I don't think that it is clear enough to show that Jennifer engaged in the abuse of Maddie. She may have, she may not have, but I don't think the evidence is compelling enough that she did, that shows that she did. But what I thought was, it just seems really odd to me that, well, it seems outside of the realm of possibility that she didn't know what was going on to her daughter. So failure to report child abuse under Florida law requires any individual, not just what do we call that? Mandated reporters, but any individual who suspects or knows about child abuse are required to report it to the Department of Children and Families in the state of state of Florida. Sorry. So if Jennifer was aware of any of the ongoing abuse by Stephen Stearns against Madeline, under Florida law, as I understand it as a layperson and non-lawyer, I believe that she was legally obligated to report it. Now, were she to be convicted of this, it is a third-degree felony. And the statutes in Florida are kind of funny. Sometimes, as you move up from third to second to first, they become more serious. And sometimes, when you go from first to second or third, it becomes more serious. In this case, third-degree felony is the lesser serious felony. But if she were convicted of this crime, as I understand it, reading the statute, she could face up to 5 years in prison and a fine of up to $5,000. There are also other things like court costs and things like that. So from what I could tell, there are not any like aggravating factors, but the fact that the abuse that is provable, according to the evidence that's been released, that Stephen Stearns piled upon Madeline, that could be a factor when she's sentenced. She could get the maximum because it happened for so long. That's my thought there. Okay, so let me go over to your comments here, guys, real quick. We're going to bring Maddie up on the screen more time. Let's see. Gavin covering up for him. Great observation. Kelly says, I didn't think she abused Maddie until the Maddie is not sleeping with me anymore. I can't risk it text. Yeah, I did take that into consideration. Oh, I'm not showing you guys this. Sorry. I did take that into consideration, but I don't think that there's enough evidence that like triangulates that she knew what was going on. That text definitely does it, but there's not any other, second and third order pieces of evidence that might triangulate for a jury that she is guilty of actually abusing Maddie. But I think that the suspicion is definitely there. Maddie's not sleeping with me anymore. I can't risk it. Certainly is something that is really, really suspicious. Let's talk disabilities. Gavin, can someone be a co-conspirator to SA? They call that an accessory. We're going to get to that. Okay. Let's see what else you guys are saying. I don't know what charge would fall under, but something funky was going on with her dad owning the townhome and all those adult roommates paying different. Yeah, it was a weird situation for sure. And Kathy says, my question is, how can the SAA abuse go on for so long and so many years with the mom having no knowledge of it at all? And I completely 100% agree with you there. And that's why I came to the whole failure to report the child abuse. Any other, let's see, we've got human trafficking is something that Dava says. That's not one that is on my list, but I know that people feel guilty about, or feel very strongly about that. P says, Gavin, hi everyone. Jen Soto is as guilty as sin for at least neglect, lack of good judgment, and poor taste in men should be a crime. It's vile. Lucky says, Gavin, he told her what to say to firm up his alibi, but that would make her a co-conspirator. Hence when they said not perjury in the immunity interview. Yeah, possibly. All right, let's go back to my document. We're going to go to the second one. Okay. My next serious charge that I think Jennifer can be charged with, or might be charged with, again, my opinion only, not a lawyer, not an investigator, not a policeman, is tampering with physical evidence or fabricating physical evidence. This is part of the Florida statute. Basically, tampering with evidence in a criminal investigation is a criminal offense in Florida. So if Jennifer was involved in altering or disposing of items that could serve as evidence, such as digital files or physical evidence related to the abuse, this could constitute tampering. Now, I don't know the whole thing that Stephen Stearns, let's bring Maddie up here. The whole thing that Stephen Stearns reset his phone 2 times. That to me, I don't know how police could prove that Jen might have been part of that, but it just feels like that is cover up, and I feel like it's possible that police could prove that Jen had done that. So this again is a 3rd-degree felony, prison time up to 5 years, with a fine up to $5,000, also court costs and everything. So, let's see, aggravating factors. Tampering generally remains a 3rd-degree felony, though multiple acts or severe attempts to conceal evidence could impact sentencing within the allowed range. So when I looked at the statute, I didn't find any aggravating factor that would move it up beyond a 3rd-degree felony. But keep in mind that these things could be stacked, right? She could be charged with and plead to or be found guilty of any or all of these things, or none of them at all. So, and again, like, I just want to put it in neon. This is all speculation. This hasn't happened. She has not been charged with anything. Okay. All right. Next one on my list is one that is on your list pretty frequently, and that is child neglect. Okay, so child neglect is basically failing to provide the proper care of your child, failing to supervise your child properly. And what has to happen is that neglect has to result in harm to the child. Under the statute, you can't just say, hey, you are neglecting your child and that is a crime. The statute says that it has to result in harm. Of course, in this case, the harm that happened to Madeline is 5 years of SA by Mr. Stearns and murder. So certainly child neglect, if it could be proven that that Jen was guilty of child neglect, I think that they might throw the book at her on this one. So failure to prevent or stop the abuse by Stearns could constitute neglect, especially if Jennifer was aware or suspected abuse and did nothing. And of course, she said in her interview, I had no idea what was going on. This is all news to me. I remember the officer was like, you are very, very quick to defend Stefan, but you don't seem all that concerned about Maddie. And that to me is an indication that she did, at the very least, suspect that something was going on. So that's why I put child neglect as my third criminal charge that could happen, or could be levied on Ms. Soto. So the penalties of child neglect, it could be a 2nd or a 3rd degree felony, depending on the harm caused. 2nd degree if serious bodily harm occurs, which it did in this case. 3rd degree if there's no bodily harm. So she could be facing up to 15 years in prison on this, with a fine of up to $10,000. Yeah, I don't think that child neglect rises ever to the level of a first degree murder or of a first degree felony, but it does rise to that second degree felony, which brings with it more consequences. Now, with that, let's see what you guys are saying over on the comments here. Let's see. Monica says, Gavin, any charges at this point, they can throw the whole book at her and see what sticks because she was involved in this website of trash. Sort of, Monica, sort of. Like I know what you're saying here, and prosecutors generally do that, right? They put every possible charge against against the defendant they possibly can. That's one of the strategies in the American legal system, right? But the whole and see what sticks part is probably not, right? They can't just throw things that they don't have probable cause for. A judge will throw that right out. But yeah, and because she was involved in this website of trash, I'm not sure I'm following that. Are you talking about the Google Drive where he was storing all of this horrible, horrible stuff? Possibly. Vamplifier says, Gavin, I'm convinced her initial perjury is circumstantial evidence showing she had knowledge of guilt. Yeah, I think I don't disagree with you there. Kim says, Jen is so guilty of abuse, essay of a minor, neglect, endangerment resulting in murder. Okay. Dusty Pear says, if Jennifer Soto isn't held accountable for the torture that child endured for years, I will cry. Yeah. I don't disagree. I have to scroll back up. It keeps refreshing on me, guys. Sorry about this. There we go. All right. Gavin, do you think the Stearns mom had enough red flags to report something with the co-sleeping? Like to be required to report something? Well, I mean, under the Florida statute that I read, if you suspect something, you're required to report it. So is it possible that Deb Stearns and Chris Stearns could be charged here? I mean, it's possible. I don't think that I don't think police really are after them, though. Local Art Witch says, Gavin, even pretending that Jen truly didn't know, there should be some kind of severe negligence charge because it happened for so long. Was she in a coma? No excuse. Yeah, that's an interesting one. Hang on just a second. This little cough is sticking around. I know that when we get to trial on some charges, not only can somebody be charged with something if they knew and did nothing, but they can be charged if a reasonable person should have known. And so maybe that's what will happen here. They'll be able to say, you should have known what was going on here, and you did nothing. Melanie, welcome to membership. Thank you very much for joining. Let's see. My voice soothes you. Well, thank you. It's my sick voice right now. It's like the Phoebe Buffet of voices. Paper Chaser, Gavin, I've often wondered why folks need a license to marry but not to have children. Man, I've asked myself that question as well. Let's see. Gavin, did they give her a plea deal so she'd tell all, then catch her in the inevitable lie? By plea deal, I think what you mean is her immunity deal. Yeah, I think a lot of the questions that they asked were designed to catch her lying. Let's see. Gavin, I think it would be neglect. However, she hasn't been charged yet, so she might not get charged. Her little act of not knowing what's going on, even in front of her face, she keeps playing the game. Yeah, she has not been charged. This is all... I'm just speculating on this, guys. Gavin, do you remember the interview with law enforcement where she told them that she told Stefan to stop putting off the update and just do it? Then the phone ended up resetting. Oh, this is one of those. It could be a Freudian slip, right? That's not definitionally a Freudian slip, but it could be one of those things where the lie to cover up is at least partly true. And the best lies are at least partly true. I can't remember the exact quote, but that's a Benjamin Franklin truism, right? So maybe she was like, you got to reset your phone and just do it. Wow. Yeah, because who cares about an update while your daughter is missing, right? Who cares? Local Art Witch, you didn't put GF in this one, but I caught it. I lived in foster care for most of my childhood. It wasn't great, but it was where I needed to be. I know CPS isn't fun and needs a lot of work, but they are necessary. I agree. Wanda says, Gavin, I read that Jen is in a mental hospital. This is sometimes done to keep investigators from having access. Yeah, I was under the, apparently, well, according to what we heard in the telephone conversation between Stephen Stearns and his parents, her lawyer advised her to do that. Yeah, I'm going to scroll way down here, guys. I want to make sure that I don't miss anything. Great research, Gavin. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Gavin, I think the first time of reset, I think was at midnight. Is that correct? Does that mean premeditated? Yeah, it was like bang on the dot midnight. It was weird. But yeah, of course it was premeditated. She did say about the Woody Allen situation, she knew, in my opinion. Yeah, so maybe that's that second order or that second piece of evidence where they can triangulate things. Let me just, I'm going to keep scrolling down here, make sure that I don't miss anything here. Holy cow, Mooney. Mooney's amazing. Mooney is amazing. To those of you who are gifted memberships by Mooney, be sure to send her all the thanks because she really, really supports this channel. All right. Okie dokie. All right. I think we're good to move on to the next thing. All right. Let's go back over here. The next one that I have is accessory after the fact. Okay. So basically what accessory after the fact is they did not assist the person in the actual committing of the crime. But if they assisted a person who commits a felony after the fact, after the crime is already committed, and they knew that the crime had been committed, and they were working to make it so that that person who committed the crime could get away with it, they can, under Florida law, like most states, be charged with accessory after the fact. So my thought here was, if Jennifer didn't know, if she just didn't know, we can argue that she should have known, but say she didn't know what was going on up in the bedroom. Stephen Stearns comes down in the morning and let's say that the dog leash thing is bullcrap. He comes in, he's like, dude, I messed up. I killed Madeline. And I don't know, they have whatever words are spoken. And then he goes, I need help here. I need to get her out to the car. We need to get rid of her. You love me, don't you? Right? He's gaslighting her, that kind of thing. Again, all speculation. Then Jen might be an accessory if she helps. And even if she didn't help get Madeline out to the car, if she knew what happened and she helped with the resetting of the phone, she helped like with anything else, she could be an accessory after the fact. And the charge really depends on the underlying crime. In this case, we're talking about murder. So I think that it would come up to first-degree felony, which could be a prison sentence of up to 30 years, fines up to 10 grand. And of course, the aggravating factors in this case is that we're talking about a murder. So that is my fourth charge that I think that Jennifer Soto could be charged with. Again, she hasn't been. This is just Gavin playing the speculation game. That's number 4. Number 5, which I think is the most egregious, because in my mind, guys, I don't think that Jennifer actually was involved in the murder of her daughter. I know that there are those of you who disagree with me, that maybe there was a jealousy issue. She knew that Stefan was abusing her daughter, and there was some envy going on because of that relationship, and therefore she goes after her own daughter. I know that there are plenty of people that believe that. I personally don't buy into it. I think that Jen... I just don't buy it. I don't see evidence of it, I guess. I don't really want to defend my position beyond that. That's just the way it seems to me. But I respect those of you who believe the other way. However, if, say, Jen didn't know, but what do I want to say here? Like, if there was some kind of conspiracy to commit a felony. For example, one of the felonies might be, say she didn't conspire to kill Maddie, but she did, after the fact, conspire to conceal the murder, which would be a felony, right? Then she might qualify to be charged with conspiracy to commit a felony with Stefan Stearns, okay? So, in Florida, if 2 or more people agree to commit a crime and they take actions to accomplish it, they can face conspiracy charges. By the way, in my daily life as a reporter here in my little hometown in Western Pennsylvania, I hardly ever see a charge of homicide that does not come with a conspiracy to commit homicide. Hardly ever. It always accompanies it. Same thing with drug charges. Right? Possession with intent to distribute typically comes with conspiracy of possession with intent to possess or distribute if there's more than one person. I should have put that caveat in there, if there's more than one person involved. Conspiracy charges come all the time that way. So I think that this is pretty reasonable to think that if she did commit a felony like hiding the body, then she might be charged with conspiracy. So if Jennifer and Stefan Stearns discussed actions to conceal Madeline's death or otherwise hinder the investigation, conspiracy charges might apply. The penalties go from 3rd degree, which is 5 years prison time and fines of up to $5,000, up to 1st degree, which is 30 years behind bars and fines up to $10,000. Conspiracy charges increase in severity based on the seriousness of the intended crime. If the conspiracy relates to murder, it would likely be a 1st degree felony. So those are my 5, guys. Failure to report child abuse on the low end. Tampering with or fabricating physical evidence. Child neglect. Accessory after the fact. And conspiracy to commit a felony. Those are my 5. Now, where do you agree with me? Where do you disagree with me? I don't mind disagreement at all, especially when it's respectful. I love disagreement. So in the comment section below, tell me where you agree or disagree, and we will head on over there right now and bring up the chat. Let me bring it over here. Mooney gifting those memberships. You're amazing. Gavin, will they surprise her with a warrant or will they allow her attorneys to surrender her? I don't know. It really depends on a lot of things. I think because she has an attorney, she has been quote unquote cooperative. They might just issue a warrant, let the attorneys know that a warrant has been issued, and then they'll bring her in. That's probably what would happen. Gavin, even though Jen was granted immunity, can she still be charged with the crimes? Brittany, if you go over to my website, I'm going to bring up the website now. Let's see. Here we go. If you go to my website and click on blog, I wrote a blog post about the derivative use immunity. And, I suggest that you read it. But basically, your question of she was granted immunity. Can she still be charged with the crimes? The answer is maybe. It really depends. So she's been given derivative use immunity for things that she tells police that leads them to find evidence. Even if that evidence implicates her, she would be immune. Also, if they get another piece of evidence because of the evidence that they got from what she told them, she would be immune from that as well. I guess the exceptions are if she lied to them about something, tried to conceal something, cover up something, so forth. And number two, if they could have arrived at that evidence another way, not depending on her testimony to them or her interview with them. If they get to that evidence another way, then that immunity doesn't apply. So she does not have blanket immunity. She has very, very limited immunity. Great question. Delicate Inferno finally made alive. I'm glad you're here. And thank you. Let's see. What is your opinion why Jen said we dropped her off? Never heard an explanation. She's getting away with false information. Yeah, I think, they kind of called her out on that. Sorry, I need to scroll up here and make sure that it resets and it drives me crazy. There we are. They did address that in the interview with her, and her explanation was, I just misspoke. He told me something and I just remembered it that I did it or whatever, but I definitely didn't. He did it. But it could be another one of those where it's part of the lie, right? That maybe she did do it. Jen is so messed up, she forgets that when lying, you best have an excellent memory in order to not mess up. And Jen has been slipping hard and fast down the lie trap road. Yeah. How do you get a gifted membership? YouTube determines who gets those gifted memberships, and it boils down to is if you're active on the channel a lot, you're at the top of the list. Jamie, welcome to the channel. Thank you very much for joining. If the Crumblies are responsible for giving their son a weapon, JS is responsible for giving Maddie an abuser. Yeah, that's an interesting new law. I think you're referring to like mass shooting events, right? That's not an expertise of mine. It's not that they're unimportant. It's just not an expertise of mine. However, I have a friend who has real expertise in mass shootings, and she is going to be on the channel here in the next couple of weeks. She's a former FBI agent, and she headed the national task force on mass shootings. So that new law, she can probably shed some light on for us. And I know that it's different in each state, but I don't know that there is a law that is equivalent in SA. KDM says, I wonder if he took photos of himself and Maddie that night when they were in the bedroom, or even after that, for that matter, as a keepsake. Ooh, I wonder. Ooh, obstruction. 6, obstruction. Yeah, could be. If she is lying to police, she could definitely get that one. Let me keep scrolling. I know there's a whole bunch here. Figaro, welcome. Gavin, unfortunately, a lot would be difficult to prove to a jury beyond reasonable doubt. From what I understand, the state needs a really strong case before they pursue anything. I agree. And they do. Reasonable doubt is a high bar. But remember that in order to make the charges, they really just need probable cause. Of course, you didn't say that. You said prove to a jury, and reasonable doubt is the high end. However, local art witch. I was just a couple weeks ago reporting on a crime that happened here in Western Pennsylvania, and I went to court from gavel to gavel to cover this murder trial. The jury convicted a man of murdering another man, and the defense's argument was that he was mentally ill. And I personally believe if I were on that jury, I would have bought that defense. I think it was a good defense, and I think it was true. But the jury did not convict him of murder but mentally ill. They just convicted him of murder. And I think it's because like a jury in like seeing what happened with the evidence ahead of them, even if he was mentally ill, there's no jury that would convict him of that. They're just so offended by what happened that they want to throw the book at him. Maybe that would be the case here in Maddie's murder. Maybe they would want to throw the book at him. Yeah, let's see. Keep going. Jamie, you've been a fanatic for 3 months. Look at you go. By the way, Jamie is our lead moderator. We now have 3 moderators coming up on 4. No, we have 4 moderators coming up on 5. You can support my moderators by going to that link, buying them a coffee. They are awesome. Let's see. This is your part 2, local art witch. Yeah, the jury isn't privy to all the info that followers of a case may have. That is true. You are not wrong on that at all. Autumn has been a member for 7 months. Another one of my amazing mods. Let's see. Gavin, I don't believe that there were no cameras at the apartment that caught Stefan moving Maddie's body. It is kind of hard to believe. Is it possible that they're just not releasing that information? It's possible they may have gotten that sealed or something like that. I guess that's possible. Loving Toda says Gavin should be charged with child neglect. That's one of mine for sure. Loving Toda, you could call me Loving Toto. Rosanna is one of the best songs of all time. Let's see. Ella Blue, welcome. Welcome. Marianne, I did just review that so that you guys know about that. Thank you for bringing that up. Couple of other comments here. I don't think Jen did it. I know I gave a theory, but I think it was Stefan Stearns in my opinion, but I think she knew everything, even where he was meant to leave Maddie. Interesting. Interesting. Let's see. Why the rush to charge Jen? Stefan Stearns is the murderer. You have studied mental health. Have you studied mental health at all? Do you have a background or research on grooming and mental health, how women are used? International mysteries? No, I don't have any bona fides in this. And I don't know that it's a rush. I mean, I respect your comment and I appreciate you doing it in a respectful way. Thank you for that. No, I have not studied mental health. I do not have a background or research in grooming or mental health or on how women are used or coercively controlled. I have no training on any of that. I think how you say rush to charge Jen. Just a minute. Sorry about that, guys. I don't want to cough in your ears. You're characterizing it as a rush to charge Jen. That might be a fair characterization. It might not be. I don't feel like I'm rushing to charge Jen anything in here. It's just that on the channel, this has been probably the number one question in all of my live streams on the Madeline Soto case. And so I thought that I would talk about it with my viewers. That's why I did that. And I think maybe the reason that we want Jen charged is because the crime is so egregious, so upsetting, so sad, so tragic. Like it's beyond everything else. It's just, I talk about this with Jamie and Autumn and Tiffany sometimes when we're talking about cases that we want to cover. The cases that really touch us as fans of true crime are ones that are just particularly egregious. exhibit A on that would be Abby and Libby, right? Two innocent young girls. No reason in the world that they should ever be in harm's way, period. Right. And so it just angers us to no end. The Moscow, Idaho, the University of Idaho students who were slashed to death just so brutally for apparently no reason. Those speak to us, right? Now, there are other cases where, like, I've been trying to get momentum behind the Amanda Winkowski case forever, and momentum behind the Shelby Thornburg case forever. But, whether it's fair or not, both of those women were sex workers, and there is something in Amanda's case, she was addicted to heroin and other drugs. And so there's something in us that goes, well, she shouldn't have been there. She shouldn't have done that. She was doing dangerous things. And I'm not saying that we should be thinking that thing. I'm just saying that is the natural reaction. So in Madeline's case, she's just so innocent, man. She was 13 years old. She was 8 when this predator, this jackal here, man, he went after her when she was 8 years old. He was what, 32? That is messed up. And that, I think, is probably the reason that so many of us just want justice for little Maddie so bad. I hope that answered your question. I hope you're not hurt by how I decided to answer it. I really appreciate the comment, and I hope you come back. Inigo Montoya says, Gavin, I say this with the best of intentions. You need to take a break and cover Delphi for a day or two before the jury comes back with their decision. So fascinating, and we'd love your opinion. All right. Yeah, I have kind of shied away from Delphi, but I think I can do that. Thank you. Anna Marie White, Gavin, she read Maddie's text on her phone as she stayed on Fox News, so she saw about the new parent coins, so she's guilty. Okay. Gavin, Jen should be charged with accessory to murder, child abuse, neglect resulting in death, child trafficking, and anything else they can throw at her. Stephen Stearns would not have been Maddie's life if it weren't for her. Yeah. Good comment. Good comment, Pamela. Michelle. Thank you, Michelle. I deeply appreciate that. We are a growing community, my goodness, and I'm so glad that so many of you are coming back video after video. Ella Blue agrees with me. Thank you very much. Let's see, how much time do we have? I don't want to really belabor this here, but let's see. Oh man, did I just totally mess up? Let's just go over to this one here. I want to make sure that I welcome everybody. I know that I've done this before. Melanie, welcome. Mooney, thank you for gifting those. Jamie, welcome. Figaro, welcome. Jamie's been 3 months member. Autumn's been a member for 7 months. Ella Blue is here. PJ Tyler has been a member for 2 months. Thank you all who continue to support my channel. You guys are amazing. Now we're going to come back tomorrow. Honestly, with the election that just happened and me working as a reporter, goodness, yesterday and today were very, very, very busy days. I've been trying over the last month or so to have my live stream scheduled out so you know what's coming up over the next week. I have not been able to do that, but this week because of the election and all that stuff. I am so glad that it's over. I'm so glad that we can just... Oh man, as a Pennsylvania resident, I'm just so glad that I don't have to get any more texts anymore. Very happy about that. But before we go, just reminder that you should head on over to my website, go over to Madeline Soto's case page. You can get there by just clicking on cases and then Madeline's picture. It has all the things, audio recordings, documents, crime scene photos, a timeline, and so forth. So please head on over there. While you're there, click that little fishy, head on up to the Fish Tank on Facebook if that is your thing. I'm also on other social media platforms. I'm on Instagram, I'm on TikTok, I'm on Twitter, X. And so go find me in all those places. You just search Gavin Fish True Crime, you'll find me. But definitely join us over on the Fish Tank, where we talk about true crime and have a good time every single day. Last little plug, I know I mentioned it earlier, but if you click on support on my website, scroll on down to the bottom, please, if you would like to support my mods who volunteer for this, they do it for free, click on this button, buy my mods a coffee. All right. So with that, I hope to see you tomorrow, 7:30 p.m. Eastern, talking about something. I'll figure it out. There's so much going on in the world of true crime. Maybe we'll be talking about the Delphi case. And so join me. Until then, I bid you adieu. I will see you on the next one. Take care. Thank you very much for watching this video. If you liked what you saw, please consider subscribing. And if you have any questions or comments, please leave them below.